Hi, it's Dan from dansbesttech.com. Apple just released their 2018 13-inch MacBook Pro with the new Intel quad-core processors. I decided to give the current base model, the 2.3 GHz Core i5 version with touch bar and 8 GB of RAM a try. Is it worth $1,800? Let's find out. I've said it before and I'll say it again. As an average Joe who doesn't want to break the bank, I'm reviewing the base model, the absolute cheapest model you can purchase. This configuration comes with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, a 2.3 GHz Intel Core i5, 8 GB of RAM, and the Intel Iris Plus Graphics 655. I'm glad that the base model comes with 8 GB of RAM, but in 2018, I think 8 GB is the lowest amount of RAM that is acceptable for an average computer. Apple's own regular MacBook and MacBook Air ships with 8 GB as the minimum amount of RAM. Shouldn't the Pro version ship with more to be considered a Pro? For this base model, you'll still be paying $1,800 before tax. If you upgrade to the 512 GB of SSD storage, you'll be paying $200 extra. Other options include a 2.7 GHz quad-core Intel Core i7 for $300 more and a 16 GB of RAM version for $200 more. If you've seen my MacBook Air 2015 review, you know I love that keyboard. The key travel on those keys are near perfect. For the 2018 MacBook Pro, on the other hand, the keys are way too shallow for my preference. Apple will hope that we consumers will get used to the keys, but it's been 3 years and people are still complaining about the shallow keys. This keyboard includes Apple's 3rd generation butterfly mechanism. Apple says these keys are quieter than the previous generations, but they still are louder than the keys on my MacBook Air. The key travel on this MacBook Pro is only 0.8 millimeters, where the MacBook Air has a much more comfortable 1.4 millimeters of travel. Apple has nailed the simulated click in this trackpad. You cannot feel a difference in the physical clicking except when you click anywhere on the trackpad. It is way better than any Windows or Chrome OS computer. It does have Force Touch, but even in 2018, Force Touch feels more like a gimmick. In all honesty, the touch bar is more of a gimmicky nuisance than a functional tool. Rather than my muscle memory telling me exactly where certain key functions are, the functions keep changing their location. I have to break my workflow, look down, and press a button on the touch bar. The best part of the touch bar is the Touch ID fingerprint sensor. I can log in without using a password, but in 2018, shouldn't I be able to use something like Windows Hello or Apple Face ID? The 2018 13-inch MacBook Pro comes with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, all of which are full speed, 40 gigabits per second. Previous versions of the MacBook Pro throttled 2 of the port's speeds on the 13-inch. Other than Thunderbolt 3 ports, the only other port is a 3.5mm headphone jack. That's it. No USB Type-A ports, no SD card slots, nothing. Comments in the description below. Are these ports something you would want on your Pro laptop, or would you like to pay Apple $50 for an adapter? In my experience, as a Pro user, for my Pro laptop, I want a computer that has the ports to do Pro things without me having to buy adapters. A tool that isn't capable of doing certain things without an adapter feels less functional to me. The screen is 13.3 inches diagonally. It uses Apple's 16:10 aspect ratio, which in truth is great for scrolling through web pages, as you can see more of the top and the bottom of each screen. The resolution is 2560 by 1600 or 227 pixels per inch. As far as weight, I can hold the laptop with one hand with no problems. The 3.02-pound laptop easily fits inside a bag. It is 0.59 inches thick. All that said, the size of the laptop is large enough to multitask, but small and light enough to be very portable. The laptop includes a built-in 58 watt-hour lithium polymer battery. Apple claims 10 hours of battery life. Realistically, I see closer to 8 though, which is good, but the MacBook Air 2015 still beats it. Also, when I close the lid, the laptop goes to sleep, and the sleep low power mode will last for weeks. As far as upgradability, nothing in the laptop can be upgraded. This to me is not very pro-like. Well, you've all been waiting for it. Let's talk about the processor. The 2.3 GHz quad-core Intel Core i5 8259U processor turbo boosts up to 3.8 GHz. The key word here is quad-core. Apple has never had a quad-core processor in a 13-inch MacBook Pro ever. As a result, the performance improvements are significant. I see an 85% increase in the Geekbench multi-core score between the 2017 MacBook Pro and the 2018 13-inch MacBook Pro. Wow. Let's talk about gaming. The MacBook Pro is not meant for gaming. That said though, let's run some benchmarks and do it anyways. The integrated Intel Iris Plus Graphics 655 runs Tomb Raider at 720p low settings with an average of 62.3 frames per second. Take this with a grain of salt though. There was some serious stutter that caused the minimum frames per second to drop to 21.2 frames per second. The fans do kick in during gaming. They aren't loud, but they are present. Also, battery life is significantly reduced during gaming, so find a charger. To compare the 2018 MacBook Pro to the 2017 MacBook Pro as well as the 2017 MacBook Air, it's a little complicated. Right now, Apple has not released the 2018 13-inch MacBook Pro without Touch Bar. Therefore, you don't have the base model as a comparison. The bump in performance, though, between the 2017 MacBook Air and the 2017 MacBook Pro to the 2018 MacBook Pro is significant, but is it worth the cost? In this table, I quantify value. Value equals functionality over cost. My functionality calculations factor in CPU performance, GPU performance, keyboard, trackpad, ports, storage, sound, size and weight, screen, battery life, and upgradability. Then I divide that result by the cost. For me, it is twice as valuable to get the 2017 MacBook Air than it is to get the 2018 MacBook Pro. And it is also 47% of a better deal to get the 2017 MacBook Pro as well. Therefore, if you absolutely need the fastest 13-inch MacBook Pro you can get your hands on, go ahead and get it. Maybe Apple will release the 13-inch MacBook Pro without Touch Bar later this year. If so, that would be a much better value. Click like if you like this video. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Check out dansbesttech.com for a full written review.